I skipped my grandmother's funeral, and I don't regret it. My grandma Ruth passed on a Tuesday. By Wednesday morning, I had 14 missed calls, and my mom was standing on my front porch at 8 a.m. I opened the door, and she looked at me and said, "Please tell me you're coming." I told her I wasn't. She stepped inside without being invited and sat down at my kitchen table like she was prepared to stay there until I changed my mind. For context, my grandma Ruth spent 30 years making it clear which grandchildren she valued. My cousin Ashley got the car at 16, the college tuition paid in full, the birthday calls, all of it. What I didn't get, the thing I've carried since I was 15, was any acknowledgement after I told my grandma that her husband, my grandfather Frank, had been inappropriate with me for years. I sat across from her at her own kitchen table and told her what happened. She looked at me and said I was a troubled girl who wanted attention. Then she called my mom and told her I was making things up about Frank. That was 12 years ago. Frank died in 2019. My grandma never said another word about it to me again, not once. My mom sat at my table and said this wasn't about Frank anymore, that grandma was gone and holding on to this wasn't healthy. I told her I wasn't holding on to anything. I just wasn't going to stand at a graveside performing grief I didn't have for a woman who called me a liar when I needed her most. My mom's eyes filled up and she said family showed up regardless, that people would ask where I was, that I was going to regret this. I told her I'd made my decision. My aunt Brenda called while my mom was still sitting there. My mom put her on speaker without asking me. Brenda launched straight into it, said I was selfish, that grandma was an old woman who didn't know how to handle what I'd told her, that I needed to show up for the family even if not for her. I took the phone off speaker and said a 15-year-old girl needed her grandmother to believe her and she didn't, and that had nothing to do with not knowing how to handle things. Brenda said I was dragging up ancient history to justify bad behavior. I said I wasn't justifying anything and hung up. My cousin Ashley showed up an hour later. She stood in my doorway and said grandma had been asking about me in her final weeks. I asked what she said when she asked about me. Ashley looked at the floor. I told her that was what I thought and asked her to leave. My mom stayed until noon. She cried twice. She said she believed me, had always believed me, but she didn't know how to fix it back then, and she was sorry. That was the closest thing to what I'd needed for 12 years, and it came on the wrong day, 12 years too late. I told her I loved her and I wasn't going to the funeral. She left without saying goodbye. The service was yesterday. I kept my phone off all morning, made coffee, sat by the window, and felt mostly nothing, which I think is its own kind of answer. My mom texted last night that it was a nice service, and I